Hi there, Year 12. Right, so we've been talking, and we will be talking this week all about the trade-offs that are made anytime a policy is put in place. For our lesson today, I'm going to refer to a textbook, an online textbook called Core Econ, which is used at some universities across the UK. And I'll send you the link to this. It's an online thing. Really, we're going to focus on this question right here, how economic activity affects the fragile biosphere of our planet and the environmental problems that can be addressed. Well, as it turns out, they correctly identify right at the beginning that the production and distribution of goods and services unavoidably alter the biosphere. It could be said that all production has a negative externality of pollution in some form or another. And there is a question, I think, as opposed to a statement, that says, can well-designed economic policies implement the least cost ways of reducing environmental damages and balance the cost of reducing environmental damage against the benefits of production? Now, we are living in an exceptional time. You are extremely well aware, because as I say these words to you, the number of flights going places has really been curtailed. You can see that on an app called Flight Radar, which plots at any given moment in time every single active airplane that's being recorded by air traffic control systems. So I'll just zoom out here so you can see the better part of the UK. To give you some idea, here is all of Europe. It is normally absolutely flooded with planes. What is this saying to us? Well, we've dramatically reduced the amount of air travel happening because there's been an incredible decrease in demand for goods and services, but also because there's been a huge decrease in demand for domestic flight services. So if I pick up any one of these planes, it is usually extremely difficult to find yourself with, I mean, I've done it just now, but extremely difficult to find yourself with a flight that is just for passengers. Most of the flights that you'll see around the world are like this one, cargo flights. They're carrying materials from one place to another. Here's FedEx from Frankfurt to Memphis. You can see that this is another flight with cargo. That's the majority of what we're seeing these days. But there you go again, Southend to Milan. It's just cargo. But this is having a really positive effect on the environment. Any number of people, especially me, have taken pictures of the really incredibly beautiful blue skies that we're dealing with. Well, we all recognize that this policy that the state has put in place has been there to try and reduce the number of deaths from the COVID crisis. But similarly, they are choosing a policy which has a lot of demonstration for the value of trading off our production for having a cleaner environment. It's pretty cool. Here we have a number of different shocks that are being pointed out to you by the global commodity price index. So the commodities are the collection of goods that are commonly traded. So things like steel, cotton, oil is obviously a very important component to that. And you can read all about the commodity prices some other time. That's not essential. But here we have the commodities, and they're moving up and down. And what you can see is that when we have things like big global shocks, like the oil shocks that happened in the 70s and the early 80s, you see right after a big price shock, especially on a commodity good, you get a period of decline. So here's the Chinese economy takeoff. There was a little, this was called the dot-com bubble. We get that decrease here. In 2008, the global crisis, you can see there's a big drop in commodity prices. Again, in 2015, there was a big drop. That was because of some price fighting that happened, some competition over prices, and so you can see here that over any period of time, raw materials are being taken out of the Earth's crust, that are being burned to create new output. That production is coming at an environmental cost. I want you to mull that over for a minute or two. There we go, nice. mulling that over, here's another plot here of cod landings, the amount of cod that's coming out of the fish. Huge amounts of cod fish coming out of Canada and the northern United States. So Grand Banks is this big fishing area off the coast of Newfoundland, and we during a period of great economic boom in the post-war period, we just pulled out a ridiculous amount of fish. We essentially fished cod to death, and in the late 80s, there was a rule put in place that said, right, look, we have got to sacrifice our total output. We will literally destroy the environment for all of the future. This is, a part of you would think that it doesn't play into policymakers' minds much, because you'd assume that most policymakers are just focused solely on production, but that turns out not to be the case. There are a number of times when we have created rules to say stop deforestation or to limit drought, especially in the United States. Not a big issue for us in Britain. In Britain, we've got all these issues with flooding, don't we? And that's, again, environmental. And so there's some real trade-offs that happen here. But I thought I'd bring up this important trade-off here because of something that happened today. So this right here is a plot of the global oil prices. And you're looking at two measures. Okay, the first measure, the pink line, is called West Texas Intermediate. And it's a part of the oil process. When you pull it out of the earth, you split it into various bits. So there's the heavy residue of the oil, and then there's very light parts of the oil we call kerosene. And so West Texas Intermediate is like a big zone in the center. And it's an American measure for quality of oil. And over in the UK here, we have another measure of a quality of oil, and that's called Brent. Brent crude is what it's actually called. And so this is unprocessed oils, and they're measured in United States dollars per barrel. And that barrel's a huge quantity of oil, and it's been about $20 a barrel all the way through the 20-year period leading up to the millennium. But after the millennium, the price started to rise, peaked up here in 2008, and lo and behold, we had the financial crisis, and the price of oil came crashing down. Again, in 2015, there were some oil price changes that happened because OPEC fell apart, and there was a big decrease in prices here that you saw in the diagram from before. And then toward the end here, this period from 2015 up to the present day on the diagram, you get this idea that the price of oil is around like 50 United States dollars a barrel. Yeah, well, that's before today. So today, a really shocking thing happened. The United States oil price fell to only $11 a day. And I'm just going to show you a diagram of that. We'll have it here. So it dropped in price. Just over the 1 year period, it dropped in price 306%. But over the period of just today, thankfully I'm not an oil price person, the commodity again fell that same 306.68% today. That meant that the price of oil went from $22 a barrel at the start of trade at the beginning of the week, a week ago today, to today, where the price fell to $11 a barrel. That actually fell in after hours trading, so that doesn't show up on this diagram. But suffice it to say, this is an absolute disaster. Well, it's an absolute disaster for production, for the measurement of the output of the economy. And it's it should be an indication that things are going to be really bad economically in the near future. But it's great for the environment. It's great for the environment right now. It's an indication that demand for oil must be absolutely extremely low. However, if you are a person who is interested in consuming oil because your company, thinks it's going to be producing more goods in the near future, today was such a great day. So producers around the world saw this, and it motivates them into work, doesn't it? It motivates them into producing more materials. The trade-off to that will be, eventually, when this crisis ends, we'll go back very quickly to polluting the environment like we were doing before. And that's a trade-off that will always exist. Any production we create, even if it's like purely solar, is going to have negative environmental repercussions. awful, eh? It's a good trade-off. Well, no, it's not. It's awful. There we go. That's what I wanted to share with you today. This comment comes from Core Econ. I'll share that link with you. Read about WTI if you like. It's a big oil trading thing. You can make lots of money in that if you're looking for something new. And for total distractions in your life, it's really fun to try and find out where all the private jets are going from one place to another, or the helicopters or what have you. There you are. Thanks very much, everybody. I hope you have a swell day. Look forward to talking to you.